Hey everyone, and welcome to the Drunken Zombies Podcast.
Yeah.
Get ready for your daily dose of zombie awesomeness. I'm Adrian.
And I'm Julia.
We're so excited to be kicking off this brand new show.
Yeah.
Each day, we'll be taking you on a wild ride through a different zombie story.
That's right.
The kind that'll have you double-checking your locks.
Uh-huh.
And maybe even sleeping with the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
Think heart-pumping action,
Oh, yeah.
chilling suspense, and just the right amount of humor
Yeah.
to keep those zombie brains from getting too stale.
We like to keep it fun.
So buckle up,
Right.
grab your favorite drink, and get ready to
Dive in.
jump into a world of undead mayhem.
Yes.
Oh, and before we forget, hit that follow button
Please.
and leave us a rating if you're enjoying the zombie fun.
Yeah, let us know.
All right, so let's get into it. Today's story takes us to a place you might not expect. Underwater.
Underwater zombies. Now that's a twist.
Yeah, underwater zombies.
Yep. The surface world is overrun with the usual flesh-eating hordes. So humanity has retreated to underwater colonies for safety.
Okay.
But as you can imagine, things aren't exactly peaceful down below.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So who are we meeting in this watery apocalypse?
Our main character is Dr. Lena Hart, a brilliant marine biologist leading a research team aboard a high-tech submarine called the Triton.
A research team. In a zombie apocalypse. Seems a little risky.
Lena and her crew aren't just hiding Adrian. They're exploring this new underwater world, trying to understand it, maybe even find a purpose in all the chaos.
I see.
Even when the world's gone to hell, the pursuit of knowledge doesn't stop.
I like that attitude.
Yeah.
So what kind of trouble are they getting into down there?
Well, the Triton is scanning the ocean floor when they stumble across something strange.
Oh no, what is it?
An abandoned underwater facility.
Uh,
Picture dimly lit corridors, rusted equipment, that eerie silence that screams, "Get out!"
oh man, that's creepy.
Right.
I can practically smell the stale seawater and impending doom.
Inside, Lena's team discovers evidence of some seriously messed up genetic experiments.
Oh really? Like what?
Think Frankenstein, but with a marine twist.
Okay.
It quickly becomes clear that these experiments are somehow tied to the emergence of these aquatic undead.
Okay, now it's officially getting scary.
Yeah.
And I bet this is where things go from bad to worse, right?
You bet.
What happened?
The team's escape pod is sabotaged, trapping them down there with something sinister lurking in the depths.
Ugh, talk about a bad day at the office.
Yeah, no kidding.
So they're stuck in this creepy underwater lab knowing something is out there waiting for them.
Right.
What happens next?
Their first encounter with these aquatic zombies is brutal.
Oh no.
These aren't your typical slow, shambling undead. These things are fast, strong, and cunning.
Really?
They're hunters, Adrian, and they're smart.
Okay, I'm officially freaked out.
But Lena, being the brilliant scientist she is, quickly realizes they're not dealing with a few rogue zombies.
Oh no.
This is a full-blown threat to all of humanity's underwater colonies.
So facing this massive threat, what does Lena do?
She comes up with a plan,
Okay,
a daring one.
tell me more.
She decides to use the Triton itself as bait, luring the undead into a trap.
Sounds like she's about to turn the tables on these aquatic monsters.
Yeah, she is.
What's the plan?
Lena's thinking big. She wants to trigger an underwater avalanche, burying the entire undead horde for good.
An underwater avalanche? That's crazy. Does it work?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. And by interesting, I mean terrifying.
Oh.
Let's just say the plan backfires spectacularly.
Oh no. So now the undead are even angrier and they've followed the Triton back to the colony.
Exactly. And here's the worst part. They managed to breach the main habitat. Humanity's last refuge is under attack.
This is intense. What happens to Lena and the other survivors?
They fight like hell. Lena rallies the remaining colonists, knowing they're not just fighting for their lives, but for the future of humanity itself.
This sounds like it's about to become an epic battle for survival. Tell me more.
Imagine this. Explosions rocking the colony, close calls, desperate struggles, and Lena going head-to-head with a terrifying alpha zombie. It's a battle for the ages.
Wow, that's intense. Did they win?
They managed to defeat the undead, but the colony is beyond repair.
Oh no.
It's a bittersweet victory.
So what happens?
The survivors escape to the surface, leaving behind the horrors of the deep, but their troubles are far from over.
I knew there had to be a twist.
Yeah.
What happens next?
As they reach the surface, a boat approaches, and it's filled with more zombies. This nightmare just doesn't seem to end.
Oh man, that's rough. They just can't catch a break, can they?
Not in this world, Adrian, not in this world.
This is a gripping story, Julia.
It is.
We'll be right back with more of this underwater zombie adventure.
Oh.
Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Drunken Zombies Podcast. We're in the middle of a real nail-biter here, folks. Last we left off, Lena and her crew had just escaped their flooded colony, only to find themselves staring down a boatload of zombies at the surface.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Right into the fire.
It really highlights the relentless nature of a zombie outbreak, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder if there's any safe haven left in this world.
You really gotta wonder.
What strikes me, though, is how the story goes beyond typical zombie action.
Uh-huh.
There's real depth to the character, especially Lena.
Oh, absolutely.
Lena is a total badass, no question.
Yeah.
But she's not just about mindless zombie slaying.
No.
She's a scientist, a leader, and she's constantly trying to understand these creatures to find a way to stop them. Even when all hell's breaking loose, she never loses hope.
That's what I like about her.
That resilience, that drive to find answers, even in the darkest of times, is what makes her such a compelling character.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring.
She's facing impossible odds, but keeps fighting, keeps adapting. It reminds us that even when everything seems lost, the human spirit can still shine through.
It really does.
It's that human element, those glimmers of hope amidst the chaos, that truly elevates a zombie story. It's not just about the scares and the gore, but about the choices people make, the sacrifices they're willing to make to survive.
Right.
Speaking of choices, let's talk about Lena's audacious plan to use the Triton as a weapon.
Ah, yes. The underwater avalanche gambit.
Yeah,
It's a plan that's both ingenious and utterly desperate.
it is.
It shows how Lena uses her knowledge of the ocean and science to try and level the playing field.
Yeah.
She recognizes that conventional tactics won't work against these underwater monstrosities.
So she's using the environment itself as a weapon. That's brilliant.
Precisely. It speaks to her out-of-the-box thinking, her ability to utilize her understanding of marine dynamics to gain an advantage. And let's not forget the sheer courage it must have taken to execute such a risky maneuver.
Imagine strapping yourself into a submarine and essentially turning it into a giant depth charge.
Oh my gosh.
That's next-level bravery.
For sure.
But as we saw, things didn't exactly go according to plan.
No.
It backfired in a spectacular and terrifying fashion.
Spectacularly terrifying.
That unexpected turn of events is what keeps us glued to the edge of our seats. You're always on high alert, wondering what's going to happen next. It also raises some intriguing questions about the nature of these aquatic zombies.
Like what?
Like, how do they evolve? How do they communicate? What are they ultimately after? Are they just driven by hunger? Or is there something more sinister at play?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
They're clearly not your mindless, shambling stereotypes. These creatures exhibit intelligent strategic thinking, even a form of communication. Their ability to learn and adapt to their environment is what makes them truly formidable.
Yeah, they're scary.
That's a terrifying thought. If they can evolve and strategize, how can they be stopped? It adds a whole new level of complexity to the fight for survival.
For sure.
It's a chilling reminder that the threats we face can be far more intelligent and adaptable than we might imagine. And it brings us back to that final scene, Lena and the survivors on the surface facing yet another wave of undead.
Right.
They've escaped the depths, but the nightmare continues.
It just keeps coming.
It's like this relentless zombie wave just keeps crashing down, threatening to engulf humanity entirely.
Yeah.
It's a bleak outlook, but there's a glimmer of hope, right?
Yeah.
As long as people like Lena keep fighting, keep innovating, and keep believing in a better future, maybe, just maybe, humanity has a chance.
Maybe so. But this constant struggle, this desperate fight for survival also makes you ponder the bigger questions, doesn't it? The ethical dilemmas, the choices we'd have to make in such a dire situation.
That's a conversation for another time, perhaps.
Okay.
But you've hit upon something crucial. This story isn't just about zombie mayhem. It forces us to confront the depths of human resilience, the power of ingenuity, and the choices we make when faced with unimaginable challenges.
Right, absolutely. And there's another fascinating aspect we haven't touched upon yet, the setting itself.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that this entire ordeal unfolds underwater adds a whole new dimension to the zombie genre.
You're right. The ocean, with all its mystery and vastness, already evokes a sense of unease. Now imagine adding zombies to the mix.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for primal fear.
Total primal fear.
We're used to seeing zombies stumble around on land, but underwater.
Right.
That's a whole different ballgame. Welcome back to the Drunken Zombies Podcast. We were just discussing how this story takes a familiar concept, the zombie apocalypse, and plunges it into the depths of the ocean. That's a stroke of genius, don't you think?
Absolutely. The ocean is already a place of mystery and danger. It's vast, unforgiving, and teeming with creatures we barely understand. Add flesh-eating zombies to the mix, and you've got yourself a whole new level of terror.
It's like the storytellers tapped into our primal fears. The fear of the unknown, the fear of what lurks beneath the surface. We're used to seeing zombies stumble around on land, but underwater. That's a whole different ballgame.
It certainly throws a wrench into our typical zombie survival strategies. You can't just board up a house or scavenge for supplies when the undead can swim.
Exactly, and forget about using a shotgun underwater. That's a recipe for disaster.
This unique setting forces the characters to be resourceful, to think outside the box, just like Lena does with her underwater avalanche plan. It's not just about brute force anymore. It's about understanding the environment and using it to your advantage.
Speaking of Lena's plan, I think it's worth noting that it's not just a cool action sequence. It actually reflects some real-world scientific principles.
You're right. Underwater avalanches, also known as turbidity currents, are powerful natural phenomena. They can be triggered by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or even just the accumulation of sediment on a slope.
Imagine the force of an underwater landslide carrying tons of debris down the continental shelf. It's a terrifying force of nature. And Lena's plan cleverly harnesses that power to try and wipe out the zombie threat.
It's a testament to her scientific knowledge and her ability to think on her feet. But as we saw, even the best laid plans can go awry, especially when you're dealing with unpredictable undead.
It adds another layer of tension to the story, doesn't it? You're constantly on edge, wondering if they're going to pull it off or if it's all going to come crashing down around them.
Speaking of crashing down, let's talk about those epic underwater action sequences. Can you imagine trying to fight off a horde of zombies in the murky depths with limited visibility and nowhere to escape?
Just the thought of it gives me chills. The story does a fantastic job of immersing you in that claustrophobic underwater environment. You can practically feel the pressure building as the zombies close and their dead eyes glowing in the darkness.
It's a sensory overload in the best possible way. You're hearing the groans of the undead, the hiss of the escaping air, the creaking of the submarine under attack. It's a masterclass in building suspense and delivering heart-stopping thrills.
I agree. This story really nails the atmosphere and the action, but it also goes beyond just the surface-level thrills it makes you think, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It raises questions about the nature of these aquatic zombies, how they evolved, how they function, and what their ultimate goal might be. Are they simply driven by a primal hunger, or is there something more sinister at play?
And it makes you wonder how we as a species would adapt to such a threat. Could we survive in a world where the oceans have turned against us?
It's a chilling thought, but it's also a testament to the power of storytelling. A good zombie story doesn't just scare us. It makes us think about our own resilience, our capacity for innovation, and the lengths we would go to protect ourselves and the ones we love.
Well said, Julia. This story certainly achieved all of that and more, and that, my friends, brings us to the end of another episode of the Drunken Zombies Podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this watery tale of terror.
Remember to rate, follow, and tell your friends about the show. Until next time, keep your wits about you.
And maybe invest in some scuba gear. You never know when those drunken zombies might come swimming your way.